Hey everyone, it's Sun Types, and today I'm talking about some brand new Pokemon cards that are actually really cool and pretty good. Actually, well, some are pretty insane. But first, we need to talk about some banned cards. Yep. So the Pokemon World Championship is coming up in when is it? It's pretty soon. It's in less than a month. It's a few weeks, I think. And there's a new set, Shrouded Fable, that's going to be legal, but it's the World Championships, and some of the cards aren't very accessible in other places in certain languages and things like that. So these cards are going to get banned. This is interesting. This is something we've seen, I think, before. It's kind of annoying. It's like Pokemon. I don't know. I don't really know why this is happening. Oh, I understand why they're being banned. I don't know why they're not released in certain places, or exactly what's happening. So these cards won't be legal. Most of them don't matter, except well, the one Pikachu with Great Felt Hat is that's the Van Gogh Pikachu. I don't know, funny name, but whatever. And then Packrun. Packrun is actually interesting. Toxic Subjugation is its ability, and it's not in the Shroud of Fable set. It is as a promo though, like for the set kinda. And Toxic Subjugation, as long as it's in the active, put 5 more damage counters on your points active Pokemon, I guess, that's poisoned during Pokemon checkup. I don't think you can poison the bench, as far as I'm aware. And so this is, solid extra poison damage is like good. It can be used to get turn one knockouts specifically, and it's kind of interesting, but not that interesting because you can't play it because it's banned. So yeah, that's a thing. I wanted to mention it. Not the ideal outcome. I feel like Pokemon kind of messed up with this one. It's not that big of a deal, but again, it's kind of annoying that they are having to ban cards. We've seen this in the past with different cards. The only one I can think of is Blaine's Quiz Show, but I'm sure there have been other cards banned in a very similar manner to this, and so it is what it is, right? It's not that impactful, at least. But we have some really cool cards, and these are in the Stereo and Sylveon EX decks. And in a previous video, I talked about the Sylveon. I mentioned the Sylveon, and I talked about the Eevee, which is pretty interesting. I didn't talk about the Charcadet. Here it is, 20 for 1. I don't think I talked about it. In Stereo it like damage ramps. It does some things. It also does damage ramps based on energy in your Disco Pal, 30 base, 20 more for each energy in there. You can do 280 for 3, but it's fire, psychic, metal, so kind of awkward there. But then we have some new cards here. We have Ho-Oh, which is, and by the way, I think the non-A-Spec cards all interact with, oh, okay, not Meryl, but the non-A-Spec cards other than Meryl all interact with Terra Pokemon, which is really interesting. Terra Pokemon are becoming really cool. This is to support the Stellar mechanic, which are these rainbow-looking Pokemon, which I think look pretty cool. This is, yeah, you can see it here. This like outer ring that's very like smooth is not the card, but you can see here it's like kind of crystally, and so they look pretty cool. I'm actually gonna pull up the full cards here. So yeah, you can see the design on the outside, which is cool. They are Terra Pokemon, and they have attacks that are 3 different types. We'll see exactly how that's gonna be, interpreted. We saw Amazing Rares, and then there's a Celebi, which had one type in one of the attacks and 2 other types in the other attacks. So we'll see if we see something like that with the Stellar Pokemon. But anyways, they are Terras. Stellars are a subtype of Terra Pokemon, and Terra Pokemon so far are a subtype of EX Pokemon. Also, we will be seeing a new mechanic soon, presumably at the World Championships, and I think it's actually going to be a new mechanic. It could be like, oh, look, it's Stellar Pokemon, which we've already seen. I don't think it'll be that, but it is possible. I really haven't been around long enough to fully understand or be able to fully predict what they're gonna like reveal at the World Championships. Maybe we already know and I'm just like not aware of it, but yeah, we'll see something in some like new mechanic and it's gonna be cool. Hopefully, it could be. Actually, I'll talk about 3 prizes as well at the end. So there are some these things, which we'll talk about later, which might be tag teams or but probably aren't tag teams. We'll see. But first we have Ho-Oh for Fire Colorless. It does 100, but if you have any bench Terra Pokemon, this attack does 100 damage more. That's 200 for 3 energy on a basic. That's really solid. We've seen attacks like this, notably Snorlax from, also sorry if there's any background noise, but Snorlax from, I want to say Lost Origin. It's played in Lost Box. Well, no, it could be played in Lost Box. It's sometimes played in Lugia. Does 180 for 3 colorless. Also has higher HP. This does have a resistance to fighting though, which I think is cool. I like resistance, but it's not very interesting right now in standard because there's only two resistant types, which are grass and fighting. But Ho-Oh is resistant to fighting and weak to lightning because it's a flying type in the video game. And so 200 for 3 energy is solid. Where do you put this in? You could put this in Charizard EX, and it's solid. Charizard EX has an ability that accelerates 3 energies, which of course could just go on Ho-Oh. And then it also has, well, it's a Terra Pokemon, right? So it will allow you to do this 200 damage, which is okay. We see Radiant Charizard in that deck, and this can do some of those things a little bit better. Of course, it's not a Radiant Pokemon. You can only have one Radiant, so it's kind of like a second Radiant Charizard, but also it's cheaper in the early game, so it allows you to do certain things. It doesn't do as much damage, has lower HP, and is much more expensive Ho-Oh in the late game than Radiant Charizard, which is very cheap in the late game. But Ho-Oh is still, I think, a solid card. May end up seeing play. You could also put it in an Armrouge Toolbox style deck. An issue with that is like what Terra Pokemon you're going to be playing in that. I'm not super familiar with Armrouge box decks. There is Ceruledge though, and Ceruledge, of course, is this one. The Stellar Ceruledge is Terra, and it is a Pokemon you could play in Armrouge, which is okay. So then you might put in Ho-Oh. Honestly, Armrouge just doesn't see that much play, so it's not worth talking about that much. It's a cool card, it's a cool deck, but we're not going to talk about too much here. Then we have Meryl, which is whatever. And then we have Azumarill. And this one is super good, honestly, for 4 Psychic, 230, 50 to itself, and it has 120 HP. So 50 to yourself isn't that big of a deal. It's not ideal, right? But, like, you'd rather not damage yourself, but it's fine. You're not going to be attacking with this 3 times and knocking yourself out, or even twice and then knocking and putting yourself really low. You'll attack once and just get knocked out. And 70 versus 120, it doesn't matter that much for actual attacks. It matters occasionally, like Cramorant or Sableye or whatever, but even Sableye, it only kind of matters. And the attack, as I said, 234, but what's this? Oh, okay. The attack is called Double Edge, and this ability, Twinkling Soap. Double Edge used by this Pokemon costs only 1 Psychic if you have any Terra Pokemon in play. That's really good. 230 for 1 is very solid. It's cheap, obviously, and it's good damage output. 230 is arguably the number to hit right now for one-shotting basic Pokemon that are 1 prizes or 2 prizes. It doesn't one-shot all of them. Regional EX survives this. Blood Ursa Luna EX survives this, and then Pokemon that have HP buffs or damage reduction will potentially survive this as well. And of course, evolutions and things like that can survive. But this is still really solid. You're looking at Squawkabilly EX, like Rory Moon EX, just most of the EXs that see play. This is one-shotting, and that's really good. It's also pretty easy to power up. You do, of course, need that Terra Pokemon in play, which is a 2-prizer. So it's not like you don't have 2-prize liabilities in play, but I think Azumarill is really solid, and it could see play as its own deck. There is the Noctowl, there is the Stadium, Area Zero Underdepths, or something like that. There are some cards that support the Terra Pokemon other ways. There's Glass Trumpet that supports you. It doesn't really support Azumarill, but there are a lot of Pokemon that support Terra Pokemon and are supported by Terra Pokemon. And this is another one. And I think Azumarill is a really cool card and one that I'm really excited to play. It's just really solid. I don't know if I'll actually end up playing. It's pretty straightforward, but it's pretty good. And then we have, let's talk about Terra Orb. This is the last. Oh, there's an Eevee promo as well. That's whatever. It's a card we're going to see in Night Wanderer. We saw it in Night Wanderer, which is the same as Shrouded Fable, which we'll be seeing very soon, within like a week. And then it will be tournament legal for in-person events and certain tournaments 3 weeks from now. So Terra Orb, though, search your deck for a Terra Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. More Terra Pokemon support. This card's honestly mediocre. It of course depends exactly how much Terra support we're going to be getting. If we see like tons upon tons of amazing like support Terra Pokemon, this will be pretty insane. I don't think we're going to see that. Right now there are almost no support Terra Pokemon. I can't really think of any. I mean Charizard EX, I guess its ability supports, but I'm talking about Pokemon that if you're looking at stuff like Kirlia, Babarrel, Lumineon V, Squawkabilly EX, none of those are Terra Pokemon. So maybe there are Terra Pokemon that support. I mean, TMS Ogerpon EX supports, and that's really the closest one I can think of. So you're probably putting this in Ogerpon Box, but Ogerpon Box isn't that good. But you're probably not putting this in Raging Bull Ogerpon because it only plays a few Grass Ogerpons. Nest Ball's almost always better. Well, yeah, it depends what you're playing. I've heard it mentioned you could put this in Charizard EX to search out your Charizard EX, but then it's kind of like the same argument. You could play Featherwall to search out your Pidgeot EX, which is played occasionally, but I don't think Terra Orb is that good, but it's okay. Also, why is it not like Terra Ball? It looks like a Pokeball. Anyway, um, then we have some item cards, and these are pretty insane. We got Precious Carrier, which says it's an item. Search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. And then you may play as many items as you like during your turn. It's an A-Spec. You can't have more than one A-Spec card in your deck. This is really, really a lot Pokemon you're searching out, right? Let's say you start the game, you just play this. That's 5 Pokemon. Keep in mind, if you're searching your deck for them and putting them onto your bench, you're not going to trigger on-play abilities, presumably, unless they have some special like text on them. Generally, it's played from hand, looking at things like Lumineon V, um, Hawlucha. I don't know. It's most of the Pokemon don't have abilities like that. Honestly, some do, but it used to be like all the abilities work like that. But we see stuff like Squawkabilly EX, um, Rotom V. I'm sure there are other ones. Rotom V is not even that similar, but there are some, notably Squawkabilly EX, which does work with Precious Carrier. And this is like Nest Ball. So this is the way Nest Ball works versus a card like Quick Ball in Expanded. But anyway, this is pretty good. And then if you play the A-Spec Stadium, sorry, not the A-Spec Stadium, the stadium that's honestly so strong, it could be an A-Spec, which is Area Zero Under Depths, which says if you have a Terra Pokemon to play, you can have 8 bench Pokemon. So then you can just get all those Pokemon onto your bench. One thing I'm not entirely sure of, I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but you start the game with, let's say, Charmander, and really just any non-Terra Pokemon. You play Area Zero Under Depths. Can you now search your deck for, let's say, a Steel Mass Ogerpon EX, right? That's a Terra Pokemon. Search for it, put it onto your bench. Then does your bench grow, and you can now grab like 7 more bench Pokemon? Or can you still only grab 5? I don't know. And of course, Trap Ghost EX, that's a stellar Pokemon. It wants a big bench. It's going to work super well with Precious Carrier. Will it play it? I don't know. I honestly don't think this A-Spec, I think it's pretty solid, but I don't think it's like the best by any means. I think Prime Catcher, obviously it's really good. Season most play, it's insane. Unfair Stamp. Honestly, I think if you're just talking about A-Specs for setup, I think Secret Box is better than this. I think Secret Box is solid. I don't really play Secret Box, but I think it's pretty good, and it's really good for setting you up. It's a little different. It doesn't. Secret Box has almost anti-synergy with Arven because it's searching all the same stuff to the point where it's like super redundant. But versus this, you could search off of Arven, and you could get really. Obviously, you just fill your bench, so that's good value off of that. But um, more importantly, stuff like Prime Catcher, Unfair Stamp, Legacy Energy, or that new tool. I don't remember. Is it Terra Crystal? I have no idea if that's the right name, but it's the one that attaches to Terra Pokemon, a tool, and that reduces your attack cost, which is pretty insane. Those are all 4 of those are game-changing cards on play. They just they can win you the game, like no question. It's not like they're always going to be winning you the game, but they're always really good. And so I feel like, admittedly, those 4 are like kind of they're different from each other a lot. But Press Carrier to me is not at the same level as the like big A specs, but it's still solid. I'm sure some people are gonna love this A spec. I think it's a little overhyped. In literally like one day, I've heard like so many people saying this card's like busted. I think it's okay. I think it's cool. I don't think it's bad. I think it is good. I want to make that clear. I think it's gonna see some play. It might see a lot of play depending how good, like how many bench Pokemon you want. Because you don't usually want to fill your whole bench, and you're already gonna have some bench Pokemon. But I still think this card is quite strong. Next, we have Perfect Mixer, which is the other ace spec, and this one's really cool, which says search your deck for up to 5 cards and discard them, and then shuffle your deck and item. A-Spec, all that good stuff. So this is really interesting. Battle Compressor said was an item. It's an expanded and is currently not banned. It might get banned. I don't know. Which said search your deck for up to 3 cards and discard them. This is only 2 more than that, but it's an A-Spec. Is it worth it? Well, in recently that just rotated this past year, so like 6 months ago, we had the supporter card Professor Burnett, which, by the way, I imagine there are a few people that like don't really know anything about this card. Soft play in Lugia, and then notably soft play with the V Union set was what it was printed for. But it was a supporter card, so worse than an item. Obviously, you could play as many items, only one supporter. But it said search your deck for any 2 cards and discard them, which is so much worse than Battle Compressor. So yes, this is pretty solid. The issue is, when do you want to use this? If you're looking at United Wings, we just directly get more damage from having Pokemon in the discarded. This is good. There are things within that vein as well. Ceruledge EX does, how much does it do? Yeah, so it does 20 more damage for each energy in your discard pile. And of course, it just extra damage, and it does not shuffle all the energies back. So I think this card's pretty solid. We'll see exactly what it sees play in. Right now, decks aren't really playing out of the discard pile. There aren't cards like Versus Seeker, though there is Night Stretcher or Nightly Stretcher coming in the next expansion, the mini expansion Shrouded Fable, which grabs either a Pokemon or an energy back from your discard pile into your hand. The notable thing is the Pokemon. The energy is notable too as well, but you can just get that back with energy retrieval. But being able to recover the Pokemon into your hand, you can Perfect Mixer for I don't know, you can get like Pokemon and energies, and you can energy retrieval and Night Stretcher, all those cards back into your hand. So Perfect Mixer acts as a search card. But of course, that's not. Then you could just play some other search A-Spec like Secret Box or Hyper Aroma or Precious Carrier. They all do very different things, and might not necessarily do what you want, but also I feel like Perfect Mixer wouldn't always do what you want in that situation either. So I'm not entirely sure of the use cases of Perfect Mixer just yet. I do think playing from the discard is pretty interesting. We've seen cards like Flaffy, Malamar, um, Blaziken just get energies out of the discard pile and accelerate them into play. I think those cards are pretty cool. They, of course, need cards in the discard pile, and there are different decks that interact with the discard pile in different ways. Chimpao EX generally plays from the discard pile using superior energy retrieval, but I don't know, saying it plays from the discard pile, it just gets the energy from the discard pile, but um, I don't know. I don't know how good this A-Spec is. I want it to be really good, and I think it's really fun. Battle Compressor is one of my favorite cards. There's Execute. There are a lot of cool interactions with it and Expanded. It's super good. As I said it's not banned yet. It might get banned. Um, a lot of cards that interact with it got banned, or some did. It enabled combos, and a lot of the combos have been nerfed. Notably, Shaman EX and Scoop of Net have been banned, but and this isn't an expanded talk; it's a standard talk. But this card could be really cool, depending what we see. But in the current standard format, it's okay, but pretty underwhelming. But then I want to talk about Battle Partners, and this is a set to release in Japan in January, and it says Return of Owners Pokemon. So this is some speculation by PokeBeach, but it says a new set named Battle Partners has been revealed through distributor listings. It will be released on January 24th in Japan. And by the way, Japanese sets, I mentioned earlier that the sets are kind of weird internationally. That's also an issue with the promos. But we are going to see this later than Japan. If you're internationally, if you're in Japan, you'll see it when you see it in Japan. But if you're internationally, we'll see this later. Sometime. And so there's a collection file and a collection file Lily. There's some stuff this says, as the name implies, Battle Partner will feature notable Pokemon trainers alongside their Pokemon. But it gets interesting. On the 21st, 2 new pre-constructed decks will release. This is like the Sylveon and Ceruledge ones. It's kind of like that, where they have new cards, and they will be named Starter Set EX Stevens Beldum and Metagross EX, and Starter Set EX, Marnie's Morpeko, and sorry, this is like, what's this wording? Starter Set EX, Marnie's Morpeko and Grimmsnarl EX, and it seems to indicate the return of Owner's Pokemon, which I'm not familiar with. I'm going to be completely honest. I like kind of know what they are. I don't really know how these work, to be honest. I know they like do certain things. and they have like different names and stuff. Well, yeah, I don't. Do they all? I'm just not very familiar with them, and I don't think I don't know. So, I mean, this card was good, right? But like, I'm not familiar with owners Pokemon very much. I think it's just like a name thing, kind of like ancient or future Pokemon, or like Terra Pokemon, and then they can have unique mechanics, but we'll see. And this could be pretty cool. Obviously, the trainers are from like the video games and the anime especially are really notable because like they're just very iconic. They're the faces of the franchise in some ways. Of course, the Pokemon themselves are the face of the video game, but in like the anime, the trainers are hard like very important. I don't know how big the anime is exactly, but this could be cool to bring in new people because let's be honest, like if your favorite character is what are some like popular characters that like don't have good cards? Like if you like Nimona and you're like, oh my favorite character is Nimona, I want to play. Also, I've not seen the anime. I've seen some of the anime. I've not seen the new anime, so I don't. I assume Nimona's in the anime, but actually I don't know. Maybe she's not. But if you're like, oh my favorite card is Nimona, character's Nimona, I want to play the Nimona card. It's not good. Or if like, oh my favorite characters like Cynthia, I don't think has any cards in standard. I could be wrong. There's a great Cynthia in expanded, but um, anyway, so this is a thing, or or it could be tag teams. So PokeBeach says in an earlier version of this story, they said it appears that there may be tag team cards, but past decks have used and to denote two Pokemon cards. But this might be true. Other people said that it could be tag teams as well, so there might be the return of tag teams. I think it's gonna be something else. I think it's just gonna be something new. I think it might be some mix of like owners and tag teams. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to expect. I probably will have on the thumbnail will be tag teams because tag teams are iconic. Um, but and also they're not like super old, right? Owners Pokemon are pretty old, especially like what is this? This looks so bad. I mean the art's like kind of fun. It's like nostalgic or something, but like this this doesn't look the best, right? um the card quality is better now, although the specs always look bad in like the images because they have this pattern which is okay, but um the actual pattern is like it looks weird, like the visual, like the online image of like the physical card. But anyways, so we're gonna get some new things here. The tag team mechanic, there were three prize Pokemon. They were basic. They're not going to be the same as tag teams if we get them back because they were GXs and these are EXs. Um, but I'm really excited to see what we're going to get. I think we're going to see some new mechanic. This will probably be the mechanic revealed at the World Championship. If I had to guess, and these will be, yeah, I don't really know. I'm not very familiar with owners Pokemon. I'm interested in hearing that down below. But yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking and subscribing for more content about the new things coming up in the Pokemon TCG because it's really exciting. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.